Well, welcome back. It's been a minute. It's been a while. Been busy. I've been real busy, and so I took some time off here. And again, I'm not making money by doing this, so I obviously got to go chase the things that make money at times. And so I'm excited to get back in the chair and record some things for you guys. And I'm getting ready to leave on another trip. We're getting ready to go to Turks and Caicos, so I figured I could record a few episodes before we head out. Those of you that have been following me on Facebook, I know I've made some posts recently that have ruffled some feathers for some of you, and so I felt it was needed. I needed to kind of clear the air on where is my passion when it comes to fitness, because I wasn't somebody that just went to the gym, saw results, and looked at everybody else and said, you need to do the same. There was a reason behind it, and I want to share that with you guys today. And so let's get started. So all of this started for me. Yeah, this was several years ago. I had to get a DOT certification card for my job. I worked for a delivery service company, and so I had to have this DOT certification to operate the vehicle. And part of this test you had to go to the doctor and basically do a whole physical, a health physical. And when I went for my last one to renew it, I failed my blood pressure. You can't have blood pressure over 140, and I was like 146 or something along those lines. And the doctor in the office went ahead and signed off on it because of my age, but she said that if I didn't get this under control, that they weren't going to be able to keep passing me like this. That was my first telltale sign that something wasn't right. And of course, I just, okay, yeah, sounds good. Give me my DOT cert so I can go on about my day. Didn't do anything about it, like most of us don't. And I continued on, and all of a sudden, I would lay in bed at night, and I could literally feel my heart beating out of my chest. And I'm like, what is going on? It wasn't quite painful, but it was uncomfortable. And I'd never felt that before. And I was like, man, and all I could think is my blood pressure. That's all I could think about. And then I started thinking, it's not fair to my wife to wake up one day and find me dead next to her because I didn't take care of myself. And so I really started thinking about it and thought, well, at least I can go to the doctor and see what they say. And if I need to take blood pressure medicine, so be it. So I go to the doctor, and they tell me that my heart is healthy and that I have anxiety, which was a shocker. I've always been in sales. I've always talked to people. I've never really thought of anxiety, but maybe there's different versions of anxiety, other than just talking to somebody. I'm not sure. It threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting to be told that I have anxiety and that's causing these symptoms that I'm feeling. But I'm not a doctor. So I was like, okay, so what do I need to do next? So she made an appointment for me to go see another doctor, and that we could go further with her. And she gave me hydroxine, I do believe is what it's called, hydroxine. She's like, here, take some of this in between now and then, and when she sees you, she can give you something else. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'm never one to argue with the doctor. I am one to question a doctor, but I'm not going to argue with the doctor. They're the doctor, I'm the patient. I know my role in the room. So me still trying to be mindful of being a husband and a father and not wanting to die in my sleep one night, I was like, okay, well, so I started taking this hydroxine. Whatever. I didn't notice much of a difference, but it was a low dose, whatever. So I go to the doctor, and she tells me that it's anxiety. I fill out all these questionnaire, this thing, and she's like, well, it looks like this is anxiety. And so I start asking questions because, again, I've been in sales. I've been a leader. I speak in front of people. I meet new people all the time. I network. I'm like, this is odd to me. I never would have guessed anxiety. That's actually would have been the last thing I would have guessed. But she was explaining to me that there must be a lot going on in my life, and there was at the time. And she's a lot of things that are not in my control, which is giving me anxiety. So she made it make sense. I was like, okay. And so she gives me some medicine. And And in fact, I think all she did, she offered some stronger stuff, but I told her I would rather not. What she did is she gave me a stronger dose of the hydroxine and said, just continue using this. I was like, okay. And then she said she would recommend therapy or counseling or whatever. But she said, don't worry about it now. Let's take this for a couple months and see where we're at and get this thing balanced out. And then at that point, you can seek a therapist or counselor. I can't remember. But anyway, and I was like, oh, okay. Again, following doctor's orders, trying to be a mindful husband and father. And so what ended up happening was I went to the doctor, and all of a sudden they try to get me in this, here's some pills, here's later on, here's going to be your counselor, and it's okay. And so they make you feel this type of way, right? That it's okay that you feel this way. We know you're a man, we know you're a husband, we know you're a father. Don't feel less than. You're still strong. All these things, right? They start really, in my opinion, coddling you. And I don't know. Something just clicked. I was doing what the doctor told me. I was taking my medicine every day, and which made me feel a type of way. I'm not gonna lie, like that. I had to take medicine. It's just I've never been the type to take medicine, so the fact that I had a daily pill to take for anxiety made me feel a type of way. Regardless of what they said, it made me feel a type of way. And so I started reading, and I started reading books, and started listening to podcasts. And the two podcasts that I got stuck on was Team Never Quit podcast, which is Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, and Joe Rogan. And then later on, Sean Ryan's podcast. So these are the kind of the podcasts that I would listen to. And there was a lot of veterans on these podcasts. And Joe Rogan has a mix of people. But for the Team Never Quit podcast and Sean Ryan's, at the time, there was a lot of veterans coming on. And they would talk about their PTSD and some of the things they had to do to overcome their PTSD. And really what it boiled down to for all of them was you had to just get up. You had to get out of your own way. You can't just rely on these pills. And they started talking about the opioid epidemic and how easy doctors will just prescribe you things. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't know the name of the stuff I can't remember the name of the stuff that she was offering, but I can tell you it was definitely opioids. It was not here ibuprofen or hydroxine. It was, I don't know the names, but all I know is, I remember it was like, oh crap, like this is something that could really alter my whole life, and not for the good. And so I started really doing some research, and again, reading these books, and I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. So I stopped without telling the doctor. I stopped taking all medicine and put my head down, and I went to the gym each and every day, 5 days a week. I guess not every day, 5 days a week. And it was me versus me. I had that mentality. I went in there. I was going in there to get the anxiety off, the demons off, however you wanted to frame it. And I would go in there and I would kick my own ass every day I went in there. And I'm going to tell you, within the first week, I felt like a completely different person. In the first week. Now, looks wise, I probably didn't look much different, right? You don't see the results as much as you feel the results. So I just felt completely different. And at the time I was still going out. I don't know. I think my wife and I would go out like once or twice a month with our friends, and we'd go have drinks and have a good old time. And I got to a point in my journey where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm not going to go to the gym, bust my ass in the gym just to go on the weekend and put myself back to where I started. Like I'm not making any progress here. And so I just stopped drinking. Now, I never was, well, my wife would argue when I was younger, but I never was an alcoholic. So I feel bad when I talk about sobriety and stuff, because there are people that legitimately struggle with that stuff. And that wasn't a hard choice for me. It was like, okay, I'm just not drinking. So I don't want to sit here and act like I was some alcoholic addict, you know, that's not fair to those that actually do struggle with that. So, but I went sober, and I've been sober since November of 2024, and I continue to go to the gym. And so I push people to go, because I'm going to tell you, I went back to the doctor one last time just to tell her, these are things I'm doing. I don't need you anymore. Thanks, but no thanks. And she was very, very proud, surprisingly. But she was like, you know, I wish more patients did what you did. And I looked at her and I said, well, you didn't even tell me to do what I did. Like, part of your job, you should be encouraging me to do these things. All you were encouraging was, take this medicine. It's okay. You're still strong, and we'll get you some counseling. You didn't mention going to the gym. You didn't mention being really active. Now, I know there's going to be arguments on here like, well, you know, I'm a doctor and this is what I recommend. And I'm not saying that nobody recommends this stuff. But what I am saying is, if we're talking about the majority versus the minority, the majority is not talking about it. And that's evident. And it's not, you can't even argue it. Look at our opioid epidemic. And most of these, this is what's sad. And if you can read this and fact check it, most opioid addictions start from prescription medicine that you're prescribed. You are prescribed. They're prescribing it to you. You know, you're not buying this stuff off the street to try some stuff. Like, you get hooked on this stuff off of a prescription, right? And so I fast forward to now, today. Obviously, I don't take anything, haven't, and I don't feel like I need to. I feel better than I ever have. I feel better. I'm almost 35 years old, and I feel better today than I ever did in my 20s. Honestly, probably even more than I did in high school. I'm just a lot healthier. I understand health. I understand eating. I understand when to eat, when not to eat, what to eat. You know, but that's all been research. You know, nobody sat me down and said, this is what you need to do. This has just been years of research. And what works for me doesn't work for the next person, right? Our bodies are all different. You know, that's why I don't believe in these diets. Diets don't work for everybody. You know, certain people's bodies will respond differently when you cut out this. Other people's body don't respond at all when you cut that out. Other people's body go into emergency response mode and start storing everything in fat. So actually you gain weight. That's why I don't sit up there. I will never make a post and act like what I do everybody should be doing, because what I do works for me. I was a skinny, scrawny guy that I could eat and eat and eat and not gain a pound. And I was like that for a long time. I could never figure it out. And I would go to the gym. I tried to go to the gym a few times in my 20s and just never got anywhere. You know, never got any stronger, never got any bigger. No matter, you know, I felt like no matter what I did. And so it took me, it's about 12 years, 12, 13 years post high school to finally like, I think I'm onto something here. And so, you know, and it took a lot of research, a lot. And, you know, my journey is not going to fit somebody that's trying to lose weight, right? You know, I'm eating anywhere between 4,000 to 4,500 calories a day with a minimum 220 grams of protein. And like, you know, there's things that I'm doing that wouldn't fit somebody else's criteria, right? So I'm not an expert. I'm not a personal trainer. But what I will tell you is I'm an expert in the fact that I know what it does for your mental clarity. And that's for everybody. That's a scientific fact. That's not just for me. You go to the gym, you will naturally become a more positive person. You will naturally become a more confident person. You will naturally love yourself more. You will understand you're taking care of your body. You will feel like you're taking care of your body. And all these things will come full circle. And I know that that's a fact. You know, when you go to the gym, people get very intimidated by going to the gym, but understand most of the people that go to the gym, they were broken at one time, or they are broken trying not to be broken. Maybe they're just starting. So people get all intimidated by what they call these meatheads and stuff. And honestly, you talk to these people, they're some of the nicest people you'll talk to. There's a reason they go to the gym. There's a reason they look like that. And I always enjoy talking to people at the gym. You know, my wife and I have made some friends at the gym, and we enjoy talking to them. And, you know, there is no reason to have that fear. At least the gym and this is the second, I go to Crunch, and this is the second Crunch that I went to. You know, we went in Topeka, and now we go here. And it was the same there as it is here. Like, people aren't laughing. People aren't judging. Most of the time when like especially like when I'm working out, I'm not really looking at anybody else. I'm locked in. I got, it's me versus me. I don't care what somebody else is doing. I know what I'm getting ready to do, and I'm getting in that mental state, getting ready to go. And I'm not looking around. Sometimes, in between sets or whatever, yeah, you'll take a breather and you'll kind of look around, but you're not looking to judge. And honestly, sometimes when I look, and I tell my wife this all the time, like, man, I hope this person didn't think I was being weird, but you'll see somebody doing something you've never seen, like, wait, maybe I should try that. And so you like look at it and see what their form and technique is, and like, I think I'm going to try that one of these days. It's like you get lifts from other people just by looking around. That's, I don't ever see people laughing. And trust me, you see some wild stuff at the gym. Those that go to the gym will tell you, like, you know what I'm talking about. You see some people do some wild stuff at the gym. But I'm not laughing. At least they're in the gym. At least they're trying to be active. Maybe what they're doing I think looks funky, but, so be it. At least they're there, right? Who am I to laugh and judge somebody that's at least showing up? And that's in my posts and stuff. It's like, I'm never directing something at somebody that's trying. If you're trying and you're still not getting the result, or you're not where you want to be, kudos to you for at least trying. I mean, legitimately, kudos to you. It's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. You go to the gym, you go look in the mirror and you're like, man, I still look like this. Why don't I look like this? And you go to the gym and you lift and you're like, why can't I've been stuck at this weight. I've plateaued. How am I going to get over this hill? And it's very, lifting is very frustrating, and it takes time. It takes consistency, more consistency than time. I mean, my wife and I, our gym, we're usually there for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. That's all it takes. And we're exhausted when we leave. So I wanted to come on and share my personal experience of why I'm so passionate for fitness, because I was very close to going down a hole that I don't know where I would have ended up. I don't know. Had I taken her offer on this and continued doing this and went to here, I don't know. What I do know is, number one, I was completely sucker punched from the back being told it was anxiety. I'm not saying it was a misdiagnosis. I don't know. But what I am saying is it was the last thing I would have expected. And then number two, without even really deep diving too much, just filled out a questionnaire on some paper, checked my blood pressure, and that was all we needed to prescribe the opioids, which blew my mind. Knowing how dangerous this stuff is, knowing how addictive this stuff is, I would have thought there would have been a little bit more screening, a little bit more questions, before we just say, here you go, handing this stuff out like they're Skittles. And I was disappointed. I was very disappointed. But as I did some research, our mental health field is it's catastrophic. It's a tragedy. We don't really help people. We just get them extremely high until they forget about their problems. We just keep them there, and they can't come down off of this high, or they'll start going to the same problems. And so we just keep feeding them the same stuff. And these people just, okay, okay, okay. And it blows my mind. We know what we're supposed to do. We know we're supposed to be active. We know we're supposed to move. We know we're not supposed to eat like crap. We know what crap food is. But it blows my mind that we buy all the crap food, we eat all the crap food, we don't move, we're depressed, we're lonely, but we're not alone. You'll sit in a room full of people and you feel like you're by yourself. You feel weird, even though you're around a bunch of people that know you. And, we're all awkward. We don't really know how to talk. We live in a weird time, a very weird time. And I almost feel like I'm an old guy saying that, because you talk to older people when you're younger, and it's like, oh, today's world sucks. You never would have made it in my world. I walked uphill to school both ways, blah, 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 right? And I almost feel like at times, like I have to check myself, like, man, I don't want to be that person. But at the same time, it's like, I don't agree with a lot that's going on in today's world. Not that it was perfect when I was growing up, but I do feel like there was a little bit more humility, a little bit more honesty, a little bit more less covering a bunch of negative stuff, a lot less negativity. I guess that's probably the main thing is, you turn the news on when I was a kid, and it wouldn't just be all this negative stuff. They would cover some stuff, but then you would also see some really positive stuff. And I watch the news every once in a while down here, and it's laughable what they report on. It's like, why don't you guys go find something positive? Like, I understand there's negative things going on, but could you take some time? And there's a lot of positive things going on in this world. There's a lot of people doing a lot of other awesome things for society, for people, for the community. Can we highlight them? And they do every once in a while, but not very often. It's mainly negative stuff. And you get on Facebook, it's negative post after negative post. And you get on Instagram, and it's just constant negativity. You're wrong, I'm right, you're an idiot, I'm blocking you, don't ever talk to me if you think this way, if you like this person. It's insanity. To me, it's insanity. And so I try not to get too wrapped up in that stuff. I was kind of going down a rabbit hole early on in this journey, and I was able to like, whoa, that's not what I'm here for. I don't care, and I never really have. I don't care what political stance you have. Don't care. Go vote. Vote whoever you want. Just educate yourself and go vote. So, I mean, I don't care who you vote for. Do you lie? Do you steal? Do you cheat? Are you a good human being? Those are the things that I care about. I don't care if you're blue, red, purple, black, white, tall, skinny, short, foreign. I don't care. Who are you as a person? That's what I care about. And if you're a good human being, I like surrounding myself with those good human beings. I like to surround my wife and my son around good human beings. That's all I care about. Who are you when nobody's looking? What's your integrity look like? But back to what I was saying, I was in awe of how easy it was to go get an opioid prescription. And once I started going to the gym and I realized how effective it was, I was in awe that this wasn't being pushed. Like, this should have been the first thing that we should have done. We fill out this evaluation sheet and say, okay, you need to go to the gym. You need to go be active. You need to go for a morning run, something. You need to buy some weights, do body work, whatever, push-ups, set-ups, jumping jacks, whatever you can do, air squats, whatever. But it wasn't even mentioned. And so I know for a fact, if you're really skinny, you're insecure. If you're very overweight, you're insecure. Okay. And the people that are not, you're talking about a very, very small percentage of those people. Most of those people are very insecure in their own skin. They're not happy with the way they look. They're not happy with the way that other people look at them. They're not happy with the clothes that they have to wear. I know this. Okay. I was there. I also know a lot of other people that are in these situations. And so I know this. But what I also know is there is a fix for it. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take consistency. And what I learned, because I was going to the gym and I was like, man, I don't look the way I want to look. And I still don't look the way exactly how I want to look, but I'm a lot closer now than I ever have been. And it's because I started dabbling on the nutrition side. I was going to the gym, but I wasn't correcting my other side, which is nutrition. And honestly, going to the gym is the fun part. Eating is the part that sucks. That's the hard part. And that brings me to my next point. People automatically assume when you eat healthy, it's all about vegetables, salads, and stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, I like salad, but I'm not going to eat salad all the time. Okay, that's not going to fill me up. I need meat. And so when I talk about healthy, I'm talking about, are you eating chicken, rice, steak, eggs, nuts, peanuts, almonds, cashews? I could go on and on about, what's your protein intake look like? What's your whole carb look like versus your broken down carb? And how to count micros and macros, and learning how to dial that stuff in. The timing of eating. Do you know how much protein your body can handle within a 2 to 3 hour period? Are you overloading yourself and wasting protein? It's little things. And the other piece is, for me at least, is what are they also putting in the food? You look at the ingredients on a label, and most of the stuff you can't even pronounce. And then you go look it up, and you're like, why in the hell, who is allowing this to go into our bodies? And then we wonder why diabetes is at an all-time high. ADHD in kids is at an all-time high. They put the stuff in Gatorade. Look it up. Heart disease as an all-time high. Cancer's at an all-time high. Yeah, and you wonder why. It's not because it's just part of the world. It's because of what they're putting in our food. Okay, it's obvious. That's a proven known fact. and it's all about money. And I'm not going to go down too far down that rabbit hole, but that's what it boils down to. And so the second piece to losing weight or gaining weight is understanding your nutrition, understanding what are you eating in a day? What does that look like? How much water are you drinking in a day? And clear. I got my water here. I never have my water without me. I always have water with me, and no matter where I go. But how much water are you drinking in a day? How much protein are you getting in a day? How many calories are you taking in a day? And how many whole carbs are you taking in? The reason I say whole carbs is if you eat a whole carb, your body has to break it down. So if I pair oatmeal with a protein shake, so I got whole carb and oatmeal, and I got protein with my protein shake. Say that's my morning breakfast. I'm explaining how this works. My body has to break down the oatmeal because it's a whole carb. It's not broken down yet. It has to break it down to digest. Well, when it breaks it down, that's my fuel for my energy. That's what gives my body energy because it has something to break down for energy. Meanwhile, my muscles get all my protein. So all that protein I took is going to my muscles, my muscle recovery, my muscle growth. Meanwhile, my body is operating with my whole carb. So you pair the two together. So I have all the energy from the carb, and my muscle gets the protein. If you don't pair stuff with whole carb, you eat cereal with a protein shake. Cereal's broken down carb. As soon as you eat it, your body can't do anything with it, so it shifts out over the fat. Now it's using your protein for energy because it has to have something. It has to have some type of fuel. Okay, it's just understanding little things like that will make a huge difference. So dialing in your nutrition as well as your fitness, you're going to feel like a completely different person. You just will. It's going to be better than any therapy session you go to. It's going to be better than any pill that they're going to prescribe you. And all it costs, I mean, on my membership, my wife and I both go to the gym for $27 a month for both of us, not each. $27 total for both of us to go to the gym every month. Or 29, I can't remember. One of the two. But it's like 30, call it 30. We'll call it $30 for both of us to go to the gym every month. So we're not spending an arm and a leg. If your local gym is terrible and expensive, and there's one in mind I'm thinking of, and it's the only one, invest in some home stuff. You start a CrossFit, get into CrossFit. You can do CrossFit at home. There's online CrossFit you can do. You can go buy your own equipment for cheap and just get started. Do body weight stuff. There are ways around not going to a gym. There are times when we're traveling and we don't have the nicest gym, and we still have to. All right, well, I guess we're going to do some push-ups, and we're going to do this and this. We make it work, right? You don't just skip it. You figure it out. And that brings me to my last point: the excuses. And excuses kill more dreams than failure ever has. Excuses keep people more unhealthy than failure ever has. And you can't just go to the gym and that's it. You'll see a little result at some point eventually, but it's gonna be minimal. You're gonna have to dial in the other side, which is nutrition, which is actually the most important. They say gym's 30% of it, nutrition 70%, and I believe it. And I'd be surprised if those numbers weren't a little bit higher or lower. So I highly recommend fitness. I'm a very big advocate for fitness because I was close to going down a rabbit hole that I've seen many people go down. And by the grace of God, I did a little research and I was like, holy crap, I'm off track here. I need to get on track. And I'm lucky to sit here today and say, I'm healthy. My mind is clear. I operate at a very high level day in and day out. And I feel better today than I really honestly ever have. And that's just the truth. I am more active. I'm more fit than I've ever been in my entire life. And tomorrow I'll be more fit than I am today, and the next day, and so on and so forth, because I continue to do it day in and day out. Again, I was just looking at myself a little bit ago, and I was like, man, I just don't look the way I want to look. It's frustrating. It is. It's hard. It's frustrating, and you're going to be your own worst critic, and you're not going to see your gains, but other people will see it. I'll see people I haven't seen them on. They're like, dang, dude. I'm like, what? You're big. I'm like, what? No, I'm not. But, I don't see it the way other people see it. So anyways, I want to just make this video. I wanted to open up and share my own personal experience on what really led me to dial in on fitness, dial in on nutrition. Because I know a lot of people are struggling. Life is hard. We live in a society right now. It's hard. It's expensive to live. A lot of people are paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes that's not even enough, and that can be depressing. You feel just defeated. And the one thing, fitness will literally, it'll change everything. It really will. I'm not saying, you still may be paycheck to paycheck, but you know what? You're going to be a lot happier paycheck to paycheck. And honestly, you might have enough energy to go get something else, or go get a side gig, or, because you're going to get energy, you're going to get clarity, you're going to get confidence, all these things. So hopefully it helps. And my inbox is always open. I'm always willing to help somebody. And, I know I come off as brash and bold. I'm a tough love person, though. I'm a tough love coach. I'm a tough love mentor. Those that I've mentored will tell you this. But, it's all out of love. It truly is. I'm never sitting there trying to degrade somebody or bring somebody down or make somebody feel like they're less than. I'm trying to bring out the best in somebody. If I see potential in somebody, I want to see somebody reach their potential. And so I'm going to push you. And it's going to be uncomfortable at times, so I'm going to push you. And I've had tremendous results in my professional life and in the fitness, both sides. I've had tremendous results helping people, mentoring people with that tough love concept. Tough love's not for everybody, though. So if tough love's not for you, don't read my post. It's going to be, you might get you might feel a type of way. And I'm not meaning it that way, but you may take it that way. So anyways, I hope everybody's having a fantastic 2026. We're into April, towards the end of April. So hopefully everybody is having a wonderful year. Hopefully you're getting all ready for your summer vacations, your summer bod, all the things. And I know school is wrapping up for some of you guys. And so hopefully you guys are enjoying the last few weeks you have of school this year. And I'll be talking to you guys here soon. So take care of yourself, be disciplined. God bless.